G'day guys, welcome back. My name is Wildkard. Super Rugby quarterfinals. The Chiefs hosting the Reds, the top of the table, versus the eighth team on the ladder. And yes, the Chiefs is the only team that have lost. The only team that have lost to this season is the Reds at home. So again, at home hosting the Reds. A lot of the Chiefs fans probably sweating a little bit, but the Chiefs came out the winners this game. As a Queenslander, I am very, very proud of the Reds' performance. The Reds actually played, believe it or not, a lot better in this game than they did against the Chiefs a few weeks ago, where they put out that huge upset against the Chiefs. The Chiefs came into this game with a much, much better performance, much more polished. And the Reds, for the whole season, have been trying to milk penalties, trying to win the game with 3 points. Finally, they've got that out of the system and they went into this game with the heart, determination, and grit, wanting to win this game with 7 points, not taking the easy options. And they were so close, so close. The Chiefs was just way more polished, much better team overall. And the Reds was able to find a game plan that suited the Reds with the 50-22 with the kicking game. The Chiefs was drawn into the kicking game a little bit. The Chiefs does do a lot of the kicking game themselves as well. But the Chiefs was looking a little bit of, I guess, maybe a little bit of, I would say, maybe surprised a little bit due to the amount of kicking game the Reds was happy to play. And as a result, I do think that the Chiefs was in a big disadvantage in the kicking game because when the Chiefs ran the ball, when the Chiefs played ball in hands, the Reds was not at the same level in their attack patterns, in their running patterns, in the speed of the breakdowns. But when it goes to the kicking game, the Chiefs, a lot of the Chiefs, handling the skills were just neutralized, right? So yeah, there was a lot of kicking. We'll have a look at the stats in a minute. But amazing performance by the Reds. Was able to find that niche of the kicking game. And also the Reds was able to really prepare the set piece scrum dominance over the Chiefs after getting dominated last week by the Fijians. Storm dominance, the line-out accuracies was really high. Both teams actually lost their line-out feeds at various times, but the Reds definitely had that set piece going for them. And with that game time, with those game pieces working for the Reds, they really hung in there. And most of all, the Reds was not looking for the easy options, really had a game plan and went for the set piece. And was a really, really proud performance. I was really happy, even though we lost. I was happy to see the team wanted to put on a big shift tonight, and I was really happy. There were times where you think that the Chiefs could run away with the game. Reds put on some big shots. There were so many huge shots, just physical, massive. This was like watching State of Origin, I guess. Maybe some of the players rubbed off a bit of the Queenslander performance a couple weeks ago. And yeah, huge shots this game, just absolutely belting. Dominance in the 4-pack and the breakdowns, just huge battles. And I was really, really happy to see the Reds fronted up that physicality. And even though fell a bit short, but there was absolutely no shame in this one. The Chiefs was much more polished, much better team. On top of the ladder, only lost ever once this season for a reason. And 29 points to 20 over the Reds for the Chiefs. So some interesting stats like I want to talk about. 2 tries to 3. It's actually the other way around. It's 3 tries to 2. This is actually incorrect. Actually, what's going on here? This is actually all incorrect. Hang on. This is refreshed. That's the Chiefs did not run 6 meters. But let's just go through. Yeah, so the Chiefs 152 carries to the 121 for the Reds. 27 defenders beaten for the Chiefs. Like I said, despite the huge amount of kicking game, the Chiefs, when they did have the ball, they looked very, very dangerous. The Reds were just throwing people at the throwing people at the ball carriers left and right and trying to do whatever they can to get the tackle made. I think this might be the run meters, 249 to 139. I feel like there was a bit more run meters than that. Turnovers conceded, 10 against the Chiefs, 9 against the Reds, quite even. Tackle count, 149 tackles made for the Chiefs, 15 missed tackles for the Chiefs. The Reds, 226 tackles made, 27 missed tackles. Like, that is actually not too bad considering how many tackles the Reds actually made this game. So that's still just a little bit above 10%, so it's not really, like, horrendous. If you miss 27 tackles out of 100 tackles, then that is horrendous. But just considering the amount of tackles the Reds were made, it's actually not too bad. You would like that to be a little bit lower, but overall, I give that a pass. And this is it. This is like, I thought Warren Gatlin had quit coaching the Wales and came back to New Zealand and start coaching the Chiefs again, because the kicking game in this match was outrageous. You thought this was You thought this was watching the Lions tour again, right? I was Warren Gatland's Lions against the Springboks. The amount of kicking game that went on in this game. So 44 kicks overall for the Chiefs, 23 for the Reds. At halftime, just let me get the stats up. The Chiefs already made 27 kicks, and the Reds 23 kicks. Yeah, like the only time I've seen this many kicks is literally Springboks versus the Lions, and that was like heavily criticized by the media for too much kicking, but the Reds wanted to play this game, wanted to play the kicking game because they have identified the areas where the Reds could be, could match the Chiefs is the kicking game and the set piece, and they really targeted those areas and tried to put the game in those areas that really suited them, whereas the Chiefs really had the advantage with the running, attacking, quick breakdowns, and really was not allowed to play that game due to the kicking game. 44 kicks apiece. That's like, 88 kicks in total. That's, outrageous amount of kicking. Goal kicking, Lionel had a bit of an off day. There was 2 conversions from the sideline missed. There was 1 penalty goal that was missed. But, yeah, got to work on that. D-Mac, though, 100% on his goal kicking. And provided a lot of those goal kicks are pretty easy right in front. But still, when the Chiefs were kicking for the 3 points, I did feel like they really let off a lot of that pressure because the Chiefs, they did look a lot more threatening when they had the ball in hands, and then the Chiefs just went, let's take the 3 points. I think that was probably strategically a mistake, and probably something that the Reds had a hope for the Chiefs to do, to just take the 3 points and alleviate that pressure. Not conceding yellow cards, not conceding tries, taking the 3 points, and reset the game. So I thought the Reds kind of wanted to play that game, giving the Chiefs those penalty opportunities. Lineouts, again, we know this stats is actually incorrect. It's both teams have lost numerous lineouts from both in both halves, both stolen and due to their own mistakes. So that's not actually correct. The big surprise for the Reds is the scrum dominance. The Reds actually won 1 scrum feed over the Chiefs and overall accumulated 3 scrum penalties against the Chiefs. There was a couple of technical ones where Angus Garner, but there was just sheer pressure sheer pressure and winning that collision in the scrum, getting that dominance, getting that letting the referee know that you have the dominant scrum would actually sway the decision on towards you a lot of the times. So the referee had that, due to the dominance in the collision, the Reds had that in mind, as the Reds has the dominant scrum, and then that transferred into a number of penalties against the Chiefs, which was really impressive considering the Chiefs has one of the best scrummages in the season, and they do have Ethan de Groot, and is Ethan de Groot playing this game? Aiden Ross, some big names. Yeah, Aiden Ross is. Ethan de Groot's not playing. He's injured, is he? Yeah, actually, yeah. So the Chiefs had one of the scrums. Somers out the All Blacks hooker. Just really impressive for Reds to be able to exploit that and put a lot of that hurt on the scrum time. Penalties considered 9 against the Chiefs, 7 against the Reds. Like if you take out the 3 penalties from the scrum, you'll be 6 against the Chiefs and 7 against the Reds. So both teams' discipline was really good. World-class performance there by both teams. And let's look at some of the important moments of this game. So 3 tries to... Wait, Reds actually scored 3 tries? Wait, is that actually... Wait, the Reds actually scored 3 tries. I thought the Chiefs scored 3 tries and Reds got 2. But anyway, it looks like Reds actually scored 3 tries and Chiefs were able to win with those penalties actually. Mostly penalty points. So 5 minutes into the game, the Reds was winning the kicking game a little bit. The Reds, they were able to clearly target Suliasi Vunivalu as like try to isolate him at the back with the kicking game, and knowing that he's got a poor kicking game a little bit. So Suliasi Vunivalu was found himself a little bit isolated. The Reds was able to get themselves in a position early in the game where they had a nice little cross-field kick where, the Chiefs was able to find themselves from the poor kicks of Vunivalu in a position where they found themselves in a nice little cross-field kick, and the ball bounced. I think, who was it? There was one of the wingers. I think he's Narawa. He was like, the ball kind of bounced for him where I think he had Josh Fluke in front of him, and he just tapped in on the back, and Fluke kind of went, oh, and then the ball landed in Nanawa's hand. It looked like he scored. Referee had a look, deemed that the push interfered with Josh Fluke's ability to recover the ball. So really early on, Chiefs almost scored no try. 8 minutes into the game, the Reds, the Reds gets their first 50-22. And they basically had an opportunity inside the Chiefs half and put on a lot of sustained pressure. And there was a move. I've seen this from the Springboks before. There's not many teams really do this. The Reds set up a maul from a running ball. They didn't set up the maul from the line out as you would normally expect. They set up the maul from a running ball centered field, right? So all the Reds players were forwards kind of like running and set up this maul in the middle of the field, just like out of nowhere. And then with the more rolling forward, the Reds kind of like managed to create a bit of space, and then eventually they found themselves they had James O'Connor going the blind side where nothing kind of like came out of it, and they quickly switched the ball back to open side. James O'Connor loops around on the blind side, created a bit of an overlap. He gets the ball, a nice long cutout pass to Suliasi Vinivalu in the wing when had a bit of space, goes into the corner for the first try for the Reds. Suddenly the Reds were on the board ahead of the Chiefs, 5-0. And 18 minutes into the game, the Chiefs were putting a bit more pressure on the Reds side, getting lured in the kicking game a little bit, finally getting that penalty. Chiefs opted to go take the first 3 points to 5, 18 minutes into the game. 20 minutes into the game, there was a lot of weird stuff, like a lot of like little grub, chip kick over the top by the Chiefs. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's the thing they wanted to do, because Peter Gasua-Kula had the ball on the wing. He did a chip over the top as himself. I mean, surely, if D-Mac is doing these little chips, Josh Ioane doing this, I can see they've been practicing, but you can't be possibly telling me that Peter Gasua-Kula has been instructed to do a little chip kick over the top. Should he ever get the ball on the wing? That's exactly what he did. So there was a lot of this weird, like, kicking out of the Chiefs. I wasn't sure what was happening, but it definitely looked like the Chiefs wanted to pin the Reds inside their own 22, close to the try line. But I mean, surely you would have made it a call that forwards should not be doing this sort of kicks. Peter Gus chips over, Reds defuse. So the Chiefs was, the Reds was holding on, was managing these kicks. Eventually, Chiefs was able to find himself in another penalty. 22 minutes into the game, D-Mac kicks another one. 25 minutes into the game, the Reds had an opportunity to go for 3 points. Considering the Chiefs were kicking a lot of threes, Reds normally would have gone for 3 points here to just, because the Chiefs are only 1 point ahead. But I really applauded the Reds. I was really happy to see this. The Reds went for the 7. The Reds went over the try line. It was held up, but I was really, really happy to say that they at least tried to make the Chiefs absorb some pressure. There was some massive hits out of this game. At this point, there was a huge hit after this held up where Harry Wilson runs in and just got belted by Brodie Retallick. Retallick played an outstanding game this game. It was so physical this game. Retallick, I mean, he is just unbelievable once again for the Chiefs. Big step up for the All Blacks. All Blacks player here. 29 minutes into the game, there was a massive defensive effort by the Reds. Chiefs was on the rolling, try to on the roll. They were building a lot of phases, 12 phases I think it was. Eventually they put a little grubber kick behind. Didn't a little bit too much, but they go back for the penalty. They kick another 3, 9 points to 5. 34 minutes into the game, the Reds gets another penalty again. You figure that the Reds might take the 3, but no, I was really happy once again. Reds decided to go for the penalty. This time they go for the maul. The maul kind of got clapped just before the try line. Harry Wilson goes in. He rips the ball out of the ruck and he rolls himself over the top of the ruck, plants the ball down for a try. That was a really interesting way to see someone score. But he goes over for the try for the Reds, and I was extremely happy to see that the Reds, knowing that they need to put a pressure on physically and really control the ball in the right territories. They did that and they turned that into points. 9 points to 10, going to halftime. Just before halftime though, the Chiefs finally get themselves in some good position, some good handling, and some really, really fast ball out of the rocks. And then just, typical New Zealand fashion, I guess. Silky smooth handling all the way to the wing, and then it was Nawara in the wing goes in for Chiefs' first try of the game. And the D-Mac kicks this one from the sideline. Halftime score 16 points to 10. Second half starts not immediately. Second half starts about 8 minutes or so into the second half. There was a lot more kicking going on. The Chiefs kind of came out and said they weren't going to do as much kicking, but still there was quite a bit of kicking. The Chiefs gets their first opportunity for a penalty for 3 points. They probably should have gone for the tries. Again, I felt like you're already ahead by 16. You need to extend that lead instead of trying to milk a win. Something that I thought the Chiefs probably gonna hurt them going into the finals if that was the mentality, But they kicked for 3 anyway, extending that lead to 9 points to 10. And then a couple of minutes later, the Reds get a penalty, and I thought this was probably the wrong decision by the Reds because it's getting down to the water attrition. But I kind of understand the logic here. The Reds had almost 50 minutes out penalty, and I thought for sure they would just go for the set piece, back themselves like they did in the first half. They opted to take the 3 to try to close the gap down to 7, which I thought, okay, fair enough. I really would have, hoped that the Reds would have gone for the 7 points here, because obviously the gap is starting to look really dire. I guess you wanted to close that out a bit. 59 minutes into the game, the Reds kicking game paid off once again. A massive 50-22 by James O'Connor, I think it was, and the Reds just went back themselves for the more. They got really close, pick and go. Suliasi Vunivalu gets the ball, and he looks around, runs to the. It wasn't really it was a pick and go, but he picks it up, he goes for the blind side, and then he kind of runs into the tackler and spin himself around, and then spun himself around, goes in for the try, and then suddenly the Reds is ahead, and what's his name, Liner kicks this one from the sideline, so the Reds gets themselves ahead by 20 points to 19. Few minutes later, Reds gets another 50-22. This was a really, really good kicking game by the Reds. And then the Reds, so the Reds was, gets another 50-22. But after putting a lot of pressure, the Chiefs was able to defuse this one, so it was really good. I think the Chiefs steals his line out from this one, so it was a little bit disappointing. And this happened a few times. The big guns from the Chiefs was able to defuse the line out. 69 minutes into the game, a lot more pressure from the Chiefs inside the Reds half. Reds got penalized for not rolling it away. The Chiefs were trying to kind of milk that the whole game, just putting the ball onto the play on the ground. That's out of play. Finally, Gardner has seen enough, says, okay, penalty advantage, and then Chiefs takes the 3 points. Going into this 3 points as well, I thought Vunivalu made a huge mistake as well. He was getting the ball at the back end. He had Liner. Or is it Michael Liner? What's his name? Tom Liner? Michael Liner? Lewis? Definitely not Lewis Liner, because that's the bigger brother. I think it's Tom Liner, right? Which Liner is it? Yeah, Tom Liner. He had Tom Liner there, right? And he decided to take the kick himself, and it was a really bad kick. He literally went just 20 meters to about the 40-meter line. He could have passed the Liner, who would have easily pumped another 50 meters, another 20 meters further down, like a 50-meter kick, right? But yeah, I thought I was really stupid for him, because the Chiefs was looking for him to make a bad kick, and he gets the ball. He decides to take the kick himself, and it was under no pressure as well. The Chiefs was really, this was kind of like a bad kick from the Chiefs. But Vunivalu decided to return a poor kick himself. So yeah, which led to a 3-pointer penalty opportunity for the Chiefs. So finally going to the last 10 minutes, it was really close. Both teams looking for penalties, and both teams holding out with really good discipline. 72 minutes, Nanuai got the ball in the wing. He did a bit of there was a bit of a passes between the players. Nanuai was kind of free. He runs down the sideline, and then he gets tackled just short of try line. He looked like he tried to reach out, and then he decided not to. He pulls it back, and then McDermott seals the ball for a turnover at the breakdown just in front of the try line. It was really close. But then a few minutes later, Brody, the big gun, Retallick, gets the ball center field. This was 40 meters out. He just massive run downfield, gets himself over the half break, offloads to his support runner, Dyer, the reserve prop. Dyer runs up, gets tackled about 10 meters short, and Peter Gasoakula runs in like a freight train, scoops out the ball, launch himself over the try line, and then and that was it. 27 points to 20. That was the nail into the coffin for the Chiefs to close out this game. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. The Reds actually scored more tries than the Chiefs. I was wrong. I thought the Chiefs had 3, the Reds had 2. But yeah, like I was very, very proud of the performance by the Reds, even though the accuracy, the goal kicking should have been a little bit more polished. The accuracy was a little bit low in some of the, some of the plays. But the very, very gutsy performance, very, very, a performance that you can be proud of, even though you've lost. And as a fan, I was very, very happy, very, very happy. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later for more reviews. Cheers.